All right, today I'm here with a lady who not only looks fabulous, but is stronger than most men, and meeting her helped to change me from fat to fit. I distinctly remember meeting Aly in the Delray Beach LA Fitness in 2017. I saw this very fit and beautiful woman working out and noticed that she was wearing a cap that said IFBB on it. And on a hunch, I guessed that IFBB stood for International Federation of Bodybuilders. So I went up to her, introduced myself, and asked if she was an IFBB pro. She said yes. I asked her if she did personal coaching. She said yes again. I asked her if she could hire her, or if I could hire her rather, and she said yes. And the rest of the say is history. I know a lot of people look at your pictures, will just assume, and you in this video, that you're always beautiful, but I like to say, I recall you telling me that when you were young, you were like an ugly duckling or something to that effect. Like you're a late bloomer.
Yeah, it was mostly in the childhood ages up until my senior year of high school, when a friend suggested I try wearing a skirt and maybe wearing a little makeup, but actually learning how to wear makeup properly, because I did a horrendous job in junior high, and they actually called me the Maybelline monster because I worked too much, and I didn't necessarily do a terrible job at it. It was just like way too much makeup. So, but I think it took a little bit of time to grow into confidence. And then that kind of changed because people said, no, you were always pretty, but I never saw that. So.
Okay. Gotcha. And then the other thing some people are surprised, especially ladies, is that you actually have a kid, a son, right?
I do. I have a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people have this misconception that, if I have a kid, I will never get back to looking good again. You know what I mean? But clearly, you are a real life example of looking hot, a hot mom, so to speak,
Yeah, but what is looking good, and to whose,
true.
Whose opinion is that subjective to? Like, what is good,
Yeah. But I guess what I meant is that you can put on a bikini, and I feel as if most ladies would love to look like you, and most guys look at you and go, wow, she's smoking hot in a bikini. You know what I mean? From that perspective, so like, I assume you look essentially the same after having a kid as before having the kid, with working out and dieting and stuff like that. Is that fair to say?
Yes and no. My body structure is always, the same, regardless if I'd worked out before or not. But the way my body looks, and I guess the type of sex appeal, is completely different now after having my kid. And it wasn't because of having a kid. It's because I was actually now fit. And I had, better muscle tone and whatever else. I was just skinny, I modeled swimsuits, and I didn't have boobs, but I was confident enough that they won me bikini contests. But and I think that's what it really, the underlying thing is, it's confidence. That's what really is the game changer.
Agreed.
But I don't know. I think I had a good look before I had my child, but I think I definitely looked better when I took health and fitness under my wing.
Gotcha. Okay, no,
and that was after my baby.
Yeah. It's kind of funny you mentioned that, because I've definitely met people, including myself, who look better older than when they were younger to some extent. Yeah, all because you take care of yourself, as you mentioned. That's very true. So while you were pregnant, did you work out while you were pregnant, or did you pretty much get more into fitness post having your kid?
I like to run and do cycling, but it wasn't an everyday regimen. It was just something that I like to do to make myself feel better after drinking too much. Or, just I'm like, I need to, drink some juices today and go for a jog. I didn't take it overly serious for my health. And, or if I just felt like I wanted to relieve some stress, it was always a good stress reliever. So I was doing some exercising just to feel better or to relieve stress, but it wasn't something I took serious or that I committed to. I didn't feel guilty if I did it or didn't. But then when I became pregnant, I wanted to make sure that I was a swimsuit model, so I wanted to make sure I did everything I could to try to maintain, because I had heard that if you take care of yourself and exercise. With your pregnancy, your body can bounce back or, whatever. I read tons of magazines that, what do you really know?
Right.
And so I did some light exercising, but when you become pregnant, that's not the time to start exercising or starting an exercise regimen. Now you can exercise, but to start like a hardcore training regimen, that's not the time to do it.
Right.
But to exercise, to stay healthy and to have an easy or as easy delivery, that is a very good idea.
That's a good point because it's not only good for yourself, it's good for the baby as well.
Yeah.
Healthy mom, healthy baby, so to speak. Yeah, it's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Thanks.
Absolutely.
What would be some of the things you've seen over the years as a competitor and as yourself a personal trainer and coach? What are the typical things that hold people back in general from achieving the physique they would love to have? Let's say, whether they're a guy or a lady.
Self-control and willpower.
Aha.
So those are two big barriers that would either keep a competitor from placing in the position they would want versus, getting a crappy standing and then it's everyone else's fault. And it's like, no, you probably shouldn't have had that cake, 2 weeks ago and, snowballed from there. But, or the same thing, it's, I would have clients come in and they step on the scale and they've gained weight or they haven't lost any. And I say, have you followed your meal plan? And they're like, yeah. And I said, 100%. They're like, yeah, totally. 100%. And I'm like, oh, the scale doesn't say that's true,
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing for people to, overcome is the urge and the self-control to not fall off the wagon. People want it and they have the desire in the heart, but it really has to hit a point of like they have to want it that bad and be ready to make a change. It's scary, but it feels good once you make the leap.
Yeah, it's funny you said that.
As it sounds.
Right, because I definitely would be in that camp who had lacked will control and all this kind of things in the past. My dad has been fit his whole life. It's kind of like somebody like yourself, but I guess it was kind of easy for me in a sense because when I met you, I was like, wow, she's way stronger than me. She looks incredible. So to me, you had all this credibility in my brain. Like I remember you told me you're going to give me a real workout program when you looked at my crappy workout program. I distinctly remember this. And when you gave me the meal plan, I was like, man, I can't eat all this food. And you kind of challenged me like, Kirk, I eat a lot of food. I'm a girl. You're a guy. You're bigger than me. You can't eat this. You're like challenging me in a nice way. And I was like, yeah, damn it. I'm going to eat this food. And you gave me this great tip to start the timer that's counting down on my phone. I still do this to this day to remind me to eat between meals. I think it was like 2 hours or so. And it would go off. Then I knew I had to go to the kitchen at the office, take my food out because you told me, I got a meal prep because if you don't plan to eat, you plan to fail. All these good little tips. But in my brain, I was like, this woman looks like she knows what she's talking about. She sounds like she knows what she's talking about. So for me, it was easy to comply. Whereas on my own, I was out doing all kind of crazy things. So I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that you've had, I guess, what percentage of clients have you had? Because this wasn't a question I planned to ask. Would you say do not comply? Would you say most people are like me, that when they meet you, they're like, wow, I'll do whatever she says kind of a thing? Or what would you say to that, I guess?
I think everybody, when they come in, they've taken like the first step. Some people, they come in, they get ready, they consult. I don't pressure anyone to, to sign. But I just tell them flat out, like, what they need and how I will help them achieve it. And I'm usually a little more abrasive than a regular trainer, but I think if you have someone that throws rose petals in the direction of moving from exercise to exercise, you're not gonna feel that accountability. So there were a lot of the clients, they love the workouts, but when it came down to what they had to do when I wasn't in front of them, that's where they struggled. So I would say that 100% of every client I've had has definitely gotten stronger and they've improved in their, physical strength and their body type. But I would say that probably only 40% of my clients have actually been able to go full gusto and actually following the plan,
Yeah.
including their homework, the
Yeah.
exercise when they're not with me, and also their eating.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, is the accountability.
Yeah. It's funny, I'm seeing that, because I remember offering people even like free coaching, and the compliance rate was pretty low.
Because they're not paying for it.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
When I give away free plans,
yeah,
they didn't pay.
That's true. When people pay, they definitely much more compliant. No, I agree. But it's funny you talk about being very blunt and brazen, because not brazen, just blunt rather. That definitely helped me, because I remember when I came to your place, your home gym at home, and you looked at my room and said, I noticed you don't have shoulders in here. You don't think you need shoulders? Because I didn't have shoulders then. And you gave me like 2 5-pound dumbbells, maybe 10. But they were definitely no heavier than that. And you had me doing presses. And after like 8 reps, I couldn't lift my hands up with no weights. And you're like, you see, this is why you need shoulders. Then you had me doing like the rear delts machine, and you're standing behind me. And I'll always remember this. You're like, Kirk, I'm standing behind you, and I'm wearing like a V-neck thing. And you're like, I see your arms moving, but I look at your back and I see nothing. Nothing is happening. It's like I'm looking at the wall. There's nothing happening back there for my rear delt. And you were like, you need so much work. So you had me doing shoulders twice a week to start. I remember it was like Monday and Fridays. And yeah, it's funny enough, because that was the body part that improved the fastest. Like I went from those 5-pound dumbbells to 10, 15, 20. It's like the weight just kept piling up and up. Because I remember I would go there and there were these little ass weights, and I'm like, man, it feels so embarrassing. Everybody here is way stronger than me. I remember being so happy when I got to 20-pound dumbbells. I'm like, oh, I'm getting there. I'm making progress. But yeah, I think that blunt approach is better, because like you said, the one with the rose petals, which I think a lot of trainers do, where, how to put this? Everybody I've ever met that's been in the military, they almost always say the best shape of their life was when they were in the military. Why? Because the military owns you. You will comply. You will work out. You will eat as you're told. They're not going to change for you. They will break you and make you change, right?
Yeah.
So your approach was in a similar vein to me. You gave me very clear, and you were very blunt. You're like, listen, you need to do this. And here is why. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, you're right. So I have to do this. So I guess I'm in that 40% that went full gusto, as you said, and transformed. You know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciate your bluntness, because I guess
it's true. In all fairness,
yes.
I wasn't trying to. I was like, as you're saying it, I said, "Oh man, I must have sounded so mean."
Well, clearly it made an impression in 20. You did this 2017, and I still remember it like it's yesterday in 2021. So yeah, clearly made an impression.
A big part too is, if you don't know how to train properly, I think a big part of why you have no movement is because even if you're doing an exercise, if you haven't learned how to contract your muscle through an exercise, then you're not actually going to get the full workout or the actual training that muscle needs. It actually has to contract, so you can throw your arms in the air and wave them like you just don't care, but if the muscle ain't moving, what's moving it? So it's important, because your back has everything to do with your stability for your whole body. I know that very well from the accident, but edit that out. That's just side talk.
Yes, so no, that's right.
I do that. But yeah, back on track, as you were saying. I can't remember your last question.
No, we're talking about the workout with the shoulder, because it's funny you talk about the movement, because you're the first person that educated me on that as well. In that I was just one of these guys in the gym lifting up a weight and not really focused on the movement, and I think that's another thing that, to me, the two things that hold people back from what I've seen, I know it held me back, was something similar to what you're saying, but slightly different: ignorance and arrogance. Ignorance, because they don't know they don't know anything. That was me. And some things you think are true are not true. And then arrogance, I can do it on my own. And then finally I got past that phase and, worked with somebody like yourself. But I remember being surprised when you started explaining to me how to, something as a curl. You'll see guys in there curling away and for years and their arms don't change, right? Or they're doing something and their back doesn't change. They're lat pulling down 200 pounds, but they're using their whole body to yank it down. So they have no impressive back. And I'm there with my 120 pounds, 80 pounds, and my back is growing, because, I'm focused on the muscle, right? And I think that holds a lot of people back. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Absolutely.
So would you say when people are being held back, in addition to what we've spoken about, how do you think the diets or the lack thereof, or the workouts or the lack of knowledge, how do you think that holds them back? Granted, you pointed out that some people don't know how to exercise, do the exercise literally. They think they do. Oh, I'm just curling this dumbbell. How hard can it be? Until you really point out, well, you really got to contract the biceps to make sure you're not, you'll see the stereotypical dude. He's curling something so heavy, he's using his whole body to curl the weight over. Or maybe, again, stereotypical here, a lady, if I lift something heavy, I'll get all bulky. Let me lift this 2.5 pound dumbbell. That's not doing anything either. You have the two extremes going on here.
Well, I think that, first of all, you've got social media, which is a nightmare of a place for any young man or woman or boy or girl, because the image of what beauty or health and wellness has been completely distorted and turned extremely convoluted into what is society expecting. So that's why you see a lot of excessive cosmetic surgery, fillers, things like that, Brazilian butt lifts, because nobody wants to actually do, cable kickbacks to grow or glute bridges to grow. But, I don't have the biggest butt. However, at my age, almost 40, thank you very much. I've got a really nice butt, and I've been accused of getting butt work done. I'm like, it's not big, it's just nice.
You're right.
But that's only because I've actually taken care of my body and I've done exercise.
Right.
So if people are willing to put in a little bit of time and stay off the internet, because the internet, you're not going to learn much. You can learn from quality media publications or quality, YouTubers that Kirk here, because he's knowledgeable and he is doing this out of the genuine goodness of his heart. You have other people that just see a way they can manipulate the masses and monetize off of it. Most of these trainers, the reason why I didn't do a lot of online coaching is because they don't really care about you. And if you succeed, there's actually 50 people that are working pretending they're that one person writing the plans, and nobody gets anything custom tailored. So I think people see stuff on social media and they think, I can't achieve this, I can't reach that, look at me, look at my body. When the reality is, people have to look at themselves and their body type, their age, their structure, and recognize what can be the best look for them at their age. And that can be anything. Like, you might not look like you did it when 20 years ago when you had a super hot body. However, I've seen women that had 4 kids, and they can get back in shape. But then anybody that scours, the internet, like how to get in shape like so-and-so, or how to do this, everyone's always looking for the quick fix. When people look at the timeline, a lot of these online plans that are written, they're manipulated in such a way where the caloric intake is not proper for people. It's to speed rush them down. And when you do some kind of crazy crash speed diet, you rebound, which means your body goes back to the way it was before your crash diet, where you might have gotten your result for a couple days. But then usually after you rebound, you look worse than you did to start. And then you really feel like, I can't do anything. No diet works for me. There's no pill that works. What supplements do I take? None. I don't want you to eat any supplements. I want you to just eat food.
You telling me this, eat real food.
Eat real food, because I'm plant-based, and had it not been for my accident 2 years ago, I'd still be in the gym, but I haven't been able to work out, and I've only ate plants since 2014. And I don't have a lot of muscle, but you can still see my little baby muscle. I still have little wings. I think the angle of the camera doesn't look right, but
no, and I know what you mean. Yeah, because before the 60s or 70s, no ladies were going to any gym. Like my mom, it's 5'6". She said when she had me, she weighed 130. She had my brother, she weighed 140. She never set foot in a gym till we were teenagers. Right? You never needed to go to the gym before, so you eat healthy, you're active, and most people are going to look at you and go, "Oh, you must work out 6 times a week."
Yeah, that's
sure
people say that still. They
Exactly.
they just said it to me today, and I said, actually, I haven't been in a gym for 2 years,
Yes.
and that's all because I'm just eating
Yeah.
proper. I'm eating to live. That is the key. You
Yeah.
don't live to eat.
Right.
You eat to live.
Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on all these bogus plans because, I mean, nowadays, not only can they Photoshop pictures, they can adjust the videos too. So, I've heard this person say once, like, how can you look like these people when they don't look like themselves? They don't look like themselves. How can you look like? But people think, oh my goodness, I remember this good piece of advice a guy told me once. He's like, if you compare yourself to bodybuilders, you'll be unhappy. You got to be comparing exactly what you said. Compare yourself to you. Look at yourself in the mirror. Wow, I look better than I did last week, better than I did 6 months ago, a year ago, so on and so forth. You compare yourself to the elite of the elite people. You're setting yourself up for disappointment, essentially.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but here I'm gonna do all of your followers and viewers who are going to watch this video. I'm going to share a super big tip that a lot of people don't realize about the fitness industry and about a lot of models. And I'm telling you this as somebody that's been in the modeling industry a very long time and as a top placing pro bodybuilder for 6 years. All right. These famous Instagram multi-million subscriber Instagram fitness models that just look great all the time. No, they don't. And here's what they do. Especially like the athletes that I competed with. Me personally, I like looking like if I was able to train and wanted to get into a show, I would say if I wasn't so like I've lost a little bit of muscle, but let's say I had 5 more pounds of muscle. If I wanted to get into a bodybuilding show, it'd only take me 6 weeks because I like to stay in good shape where all I have to do is tighten and tone up. But other competitors, they gain like 20 pounds if they're not competing. Wow. And they like to live like that, like slobbies. And so what they do is when they're in shape and every time they do a competition, they'll do about 3 or 4 photo shoots and take a couple thousand photos. And then it might be, the beginning of summer and they will have their sexy Santa costumes all prepared for the photo shoot they're going to do, at the next bodybuilding show. And then they literally get their holiday time photos ready in the summer and they post those as though that is
they just took it
as they just took it. And then if they have a bank from the previous year, even better because they'll post things and this is how manipulative it is. They're like just leaving the gym and I look at that post and I'm like, no, you didn't, you liar. I'm like, I just saw you and you definitely weigh 25 more pounds than what's in that photo. I just ran into you in the grocery store. But that's the deception. And if anybody sits there and compares themselves to, unless it's me, I mean, because I look damn good all the time.
I'll agree with that.
like with me, you can legitimately hate on me and then strive to do it because you can do it. But I legitimately just like to be like that because I feel good and I'm healthy. I never get sick. But if you set yourself up to try to be like these people online, you're never going to achieve it and you'll kill yourself trying.
So it's a great tip, man. Thanks for sharing. I didn't know. I didn't realize they did that.
It's true.
It explains things in some ways because sometimes you see these videos where they look like they're eating like a rabbit. And I'm like, or the other extreme, they're eating a gazillion calories. And I'm like, either they're eating not enough or they're eating too much. How do they look like this all the time? They must be suffering. But now I know they're not suffering. It's almost like the reality show stuff where they'll film in several months and then they release the video throughout the year, from what I understand. So it's a similar logic. Okay, that makes sense. I guess it's like a movie production. You do filming and then you release the episodes during the season. Yeah, I guess it's the same logic.
Because the fitness influencers online, they don't care about sending or spreading a true message. They'll find, maybe a video I posted 5 years ago about a workout and then they'll take it and like modify it and like throw a track on it. And they're like, check out this new exercise I came up with. I'm like, you didn't come up with that, but that's all they're doing. And it's just a popularity contest to see who can get more subscribers because they monetize off the people and they don't care about really sending a message or whatever.
Yeah.
They just care about the amount of money they can make through it. So it's, don't obsess over these people because they're not obsessing over you unless you got $1.
Yes, something I hadn't thought of asking this, but even for myself now, well, now I know how to tell these things, but for your typical person out there who honestly, how to put this, they just don't know. How can they tell the difference between you and me and the fake person? Because the fake person looks good and they're telling them things that sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm going to put you on this 800 calorie diet, and what we're going to do is this, and you're going to lose weight. And the person goes, okay. And the scales start going and they're like, man, this is the greatest trainer ever. Not knowing they're destroying their metabolism. Just like you said, they're going to rebound, put on weight, and it's going to all be fat this time. But, how do we help? And this is probably the last thing to ask, because I'm not even sure how to do this. Give advice to people to let them know the BS from the real stuff. Because the fact is, and I know what sounds nonsensical for this, but the typical person, they just don't know. You know what I mean? It's a difficult question.
Well, it could be a difficult question, but it really depends if you're looking for an online trainer or an in-person trainer. Okay. I always tell people, unless you are, a fitness enthusiast that is able to hold yourself accountable and you're just kind of spent on, your current regimen, or you want to try a new style of eating. Let's say you want to go plant-based and you don't know anything about it, but you want to maintain your physique, or you want to try to drop, you've been holding on to a few extra pounds and you feel like maybe going plant-based, you've heard it's great, whatever. Right. You're going to want to find somebody that knows about that and that has the background to give you the fitness along with the meal plan, because nothing really changes with it. You just want to make sure that, you're eating, and I don't know how to explain that properly, but
no, I get what you're saying.
So unless you are, qualified to train yourself, and hold yourself accountable, I suggest that everybody try to have a trainer in person. Now, trainers in person are expensive. So people that are like, oh, well, I had a friend and, they were only paying $25. And I'm like, okay, well, if it worked for them and for $25, that's great. I'm not going to work for $25. Right. You can add 100 to that, 125, but that's because I've also got education. I've got time as a professional athlete. I've been doing it as a business for a long time. So I've got a clout in a sense. And then you have other people that might go and take, the book exam, and they are now a certified trainer. Right. But what type of hands-on experience do they have? Have they actually helped friends of theirs lose weight? Do they have testimonials? Right. So anybody that you find, whether it's online or in person, testimonials are important. Having references, getting a good trainer, it's usually going to be found best by word of mouth, or by going up to someone in the gym like Kirk did and saying, hey, you look really good. You by chance this, like just starting up a conversation, because taking that first step to make a huge change in your life means, sucking up your own pride and your own fear of going up to someone and just like looking at who's the biggest dick in the room. You know what? That guy looks like he can get me in shape. Yes. Going up to him and saying, hey, I hope you don't think this is weird, but I think you look great. And I don't know if you coach people, or if maybe you can recommend someone that is a good coach. I'm looking to make some changes. Whatever it is, like it's kind of like hitting on a girl or a guy for the first time. Right. It's nerve-wracking. Right.
I was nervous when I talked to you, I remember.
Well, everyone has said that I've got an intimidating or a resting bitch face, but
you were very focused in the gym that day. I distinctly remember.
That's just when I'm in the gym, I'm focused on the gym. But I'm also very friendly and
you were
approachable.
Yeah, you were.
People just have to approach me.
Yes.
So, the gym is a very scary and intimidating place, because whether you're a guy or girl, people feel like, people are looking at me, they're judging me, because maybe you don't have confidence in yourself. You don't feel like you look good. So you just assume that everyone's like, oh, look at that fat, out of shape loser over there. You think everyone is looking at you, but really, people might be looking at you because they've never seen you in there before. And trust me, as someone that was in the gym twice a day, I know everybody that's in the gym and what time they come and leave. I know about how long they work out because I have nothing better to do than people watch when I'm doing cardio.
Right.
But it's that's probably the only reason anybody is ever looking at someone new. I assure you that I would say 90% of them are not judging you. The other 10% are schmucks and they probably shouldn't even be in there anyway if they're judging you. Because anybody that looks good, in your eyes, they all started from somewhere. Like when I show people what my butt looked like after I had my son, I might be Puerto Rican, but it was flat. In comparison to what it is now, it's totally different. And people are like, no way. And I'm like, that's serious training. And so everybody starts from somewhere, There was definitely a time where I felt, intimidated, but you just have to learn to give no fucks, because everybody that's in there is in there for a reason and they're just trying to feel better about themselves. Most people are not in there to judge you. So
And that's a great piece of advice. Because I remember I probably watched you for like 30 minutes or more that whole day you're working out because I was like, talk to her. Not talk to her. Yeah. And I was like, she looks so serious. And I was like, this, that, blah, blah. And then finally, I think it was at the end. I think I actually had my bag. I probably was leaving. Either I was leaving or you were leaving. I was like, this is my last chance. And I said, hi. And you smiled. I was like, oh, thank God. You smile. Then I start talking to you and one thing later. But a lot of people are scared, to talk to me because I have found whether it's a lady that looks like you or maybe not as incredible as you or a guy, once they're into that lifestyle, they will be so happy to talk to you is what I've noticed. I've had people, men and women in the gym that say, hey, why are you doing this? Or can you show me to do that? And they'll stop their workout, spend their time to watch me, critique me, give me tips, give me advice, all for free. So it's the total opposite of what you would think. Oh, that guy looks great. He must not want anybody to talk to him. No, he looks great because he loves that stuff. So if you want to talk about that stuff, more than likely, he'll be happy to talk to you about that. Same thing with the girl. She's busy on the hamstring thing. And I'm like, well, why are you doing it this way? And she'll stop and explain to me. Well, I'm trying to activate this way. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. This is exactly what you said. You just have to be brave enough to say, hi, excuse me a second, this may seem weird, but you look fabulous. And I want to know why are you doing that exactly? I'm kind of curious. Or am I doing this the right way? You say you just got to be brave, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. And a lot of people say there's gym etiquette, this and that. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, that can make sense. Like, some people, they go to the gym, that's their piece. Maybe they've got, a nightmare situation at home and they just want to be free in the gym. Most chicks, they don't want to get picked up in the gym. But then again, someone like me, when you're a single mom and the only place you go is Trader Joe's and the gym, if you don't see me at, Trader Joe's or running, on the A1A, when I lived over there in Palm Beach, if you don't see me in one of those two places and you don't try there, I'd much rather you try at the gym because that's like my social hangout. Now that being said, you kind of, not trying to give dating gym etiquette advice here. I mean, I don't think that it's right or wrong. I think that if the feeling is right, then you should go for it. Not be a gym creep though. Because that's that's weird. And you never want to shit where you eat. Don't pick people up at your home gym because then that's when it gets really weird. But in terms of gym etiquette, I think that most people like myself, if someone asked me, if they needed help or they weren't sure how to use a machine, or if I saw someone, me personally, I get in people's business. If it looks like someone is using something wrong where they might hurt themselves or they're not going to benefit, and then people probably will look at them and they won't say anything. I will intervene. I'll say, hey, I'll introduce myself and I'll say, I noticed you're using this machine, but I also happen to catch that you were using it improperly, but I'd love to show you how you can use it safely. And I'll say, I don't work here. I just, want to help you out. Or, if I see other girls that I can tell are trying to use it, like a new Instagram video workout technique. And I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing and why they're doing it. But I'm going to show them what they should do and how it's going to work so much better than this ridiculous nonsense. And they always have a lot of gratitude. And I tell them why they shouldn't do that workout and why it probably won't work.
Right.
But that's not me being a hater or trying to be nosy. It's because I don't want them to see something online and think that
Yeah.
that's, the new Tide Pod for fitness,
Right.
you know?
No, I get what you mean. Yeah. I've done it a couple of times. Usually if I think I see the person doing something dangerous, like because I've hurt my back before deadlifting. So I remember it's probably a couple months ago now. There was a guy deadlifting, and man, I swear every time he lifted up the weights, I think I was gonna hear like him screaming, ah. So I finally went over him and said, like, dude, and I was shocked, because I was squatting and I was shocked that I hadn't deadlifted in a long time, and I could just bend down and while talking to him, lift 225, talking to him and stand up. And this is how he did put it back down. And I was like, damn, wow, I am strong. And I did it again. And I was showing him how, he was basically curved. His back was just so curved. I was thinking, man, he's going to snap something up so bad, So anyway, long story short, he lowered the weight from 225 so he could do it properly with his, butt back and all this good stuff. But yeah, so I know exactly what you mean.
Good for you. So you really helped correct, a whole bunch of improper use. You probably did. I mean, I think you're either gonna, sometimes you'll end up stepping into a situation where someone's like, "Who do you think you are?" And you're like, You're like, never mind.
Yeah, I've run into that before.
enjoy that fractured spine.
Right.
It's coming,
That's why I only do it if it looks dangerous, because I've tried to help, like, usually guys, hey, you're not the picnic machine, you're doing it like the whole rack and you're like half my size, you're not working your chest. And they're like, who are you? And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you look nothing like me. Why don't you just say this? But anyway, so I don't trouble those people. But if it looks dangerous, then I will say something, but minus the danger, I try to leave them alone, so to speak, unless it depends on the gym. If it's a gym where it's like kind of, what to put it, more hardcore people, for lack of a better word, those people tend to be very open-minded to any kind of feedback, but
True.
But man, this has been so educational. I've learned a lot myself, and I'm not just saying. So, like I never knew the thing about the releasing photos. That was great.
Yeah.
That was a great tip. And yeah, I am 100% sure you've helped a lot of people, for sure. Yeah, particularly the tip you gave about going up to somebody. I'm glad you said that, because that wasn't in the notes I sent you about things to discuss. But that, I'm sure, will save a lot of people, because a lot of people you're kind of nervous in there to go to bother people, to talk to people. And you're in there, you don't know anything. And if you don't talk to anybody, you're going to remain not knowing anything, which is a problem, because either you're just going to be lifting the thing, like you said, moving your arms, nothing's happening, or you're going to do this and go, and you don't even know how you hurt yourself. You're so clueless. You don't know what you did wrong, so that's a problem.
I forgot to mention, because I think we got sidetracked away from your initial question. You were asking how do people know, who a kook or a legitimate trainer is. And when I was saying that having one in person is a great way to start at first. You could find people, that are reviewed on, I think it's called mypersonaltrainer.com. And you might be able to, people that actually, seek out, clients outside of, just regular gyms, and that just really want to work with people. You'll find that they've got good reviews. And some might work at a place like at LA Fitness, but a lot of times you get what you pay for. It's fair to say that a decent trainer can run you on average 75 to 95, and then on paying for a good trainer, you're going to look to spend 125 to 150. Anything more than that is totally boutique style training. And I feel like they should be coming to you and maybe putting lotion on your feet after, for more than 150 an hour. I mean, I feel like I'm required to do more at that rate. Definitely feed them lunch and maybe let them shower. I mean, I allowed my clients to shower because I had some that commuted great distances, but I wasn't gonna bust out lunch for them. I did one client we had in the plan where I made him a shake because he was there at 5 a.m. So he would shower and then have a shake to go. So that's different, but making like lunch and dinner, that's now we can talk about 175 an hour.
You get what you pay for, because I think a lot of people mistakenly think you can. I remember learning this with getting a massage. I would get, I think it was from this massage school in Texas. It was like $40, and I felt okay. Remember the first time somebody massaged me for like $90 and I felt like I had a brand new body. I remember standing up and I was moving my arms and legs, and I was like, I couldn't remember the last time I felt so great. So people think, oh, how could I spend $100 with a trainer? That's too much money, or 150 or whatever. But man, you learn so much in that 1 hour. It pays dividends years and years and years. Dividends the rest of your life, the rest of your life, you know? You're
paying for an education.
Exactly.
So you're paying for, like, we paid for our degree to train you. You know, we paid for our knowledge and nutrition or whatever else. Like, we actually had to pay for that. We put the time to study, and I'm always learning and constantly perfecting the art. You know, I never stop learning because I learn new stuff, but let's face it, the foundation is what works the best. And so, you know, about the price point, but the most important thing is always consult with a trainer. A consultation should be free. A good trainer will consult with you for free, because if they want to earn your business, that's their time to kind of, you know, show you the what's what, let you know what they have to offer. And it's not, I would always tell people, it's not just the client getting a chance to meet me and, you know, see if I fit them. I also want to see if the client fits me as well, because if somebody walks in the door and they're plastic surgery overload on their face, where they can't even talk, you know, a normal sentence because their face is pulled to head. You know, they're like, oh, I'm looking for personal trainer, and I'm like, okay. But what I can tell is they're hoping that I've got, you know, a magic wand, and I can transform them. I can tell that they're not the person that's actually going to put in the work. So I could take their money, but it's going to be a nightmare of an hour for me, because it's just going to be, you know, somebody that's not worth my time. And I don't want to get paid for doing nothing. So you know, meet your trainer, and a consultation, you know, should be free. But if somebody's willing to charge you like a lesser price for like a sample workout, so you can kind of see what they do, I think that's fair also, because you are compensating the trainer for their time and their style of work. But in terms of a consult to meet the trainer and see what they're like, 15 you know, minutes to 30 minutes free, I think is very, you know, it's a good direction to go in. But you should definitely pick someone that you feel makes you feel good about yourself, because you want to trust the trainer, because you have to believe in what they're saying, and you have to feel like they make you feel good about yourself. You know, it's not their job to make you feel good about yourself, but it is their job to help guide you how to get yourself feeling better about yourself, because that's our job. Our job is to help give you that confidence. Like, I'm your cheerleader, you know? But I can't make you feel better about yourself. I can only cheer you on and push you in that direction. You got to drink the juice on your own.
That's true. You can carry the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, right? That is so true. Great words of wisdom to end this interview. And so again, thanks for your time. I know you're super busy, and that was really, really good. I really appreciate it. The help you gave me from 2017 and again now. So no, thanks. It was great interviewing you. It was my pleasure.
Well, you look amazing, and I got to tell you, you surprised me. To come out of the blue, you know, so you know, further on down the road, when a lot of people don't, you know, stick with their plan or the fitness, you know, because I suppose trainers have failed them or their plans have failed them. But to see that I inspired you so much to the point where you're doing this now, and we're here talking about it years later. I mean, I was so overwhelmed with joy. And when I told my boyfriend, I was like, can you believe that?
I remember you're like, when you used to be so fast. No, you gave me a great foundation. Oh, you gave me a great foundation. Okay, that's the key, right? It's not it's like to say you give a man fish, you feed him for the day. Teach him to fish, you feed him for life. So you taught me how to fish, which was much more critical. You know what I mean? Much more critical. So
I gave you the tough love. So I'm glad I was able to do it, because I know I only took it as far as you let me, so everyone doesn't think I'm cruel. Like, we have a very special friendship. So he wanted me to push his buttons because he felt like it really pushed him, you know, to the next level. So find someone that pushes you and drives you and motivates you, and be out there spreading the good word like Kirk here. He's
thanks.
He's the man.
No, thank you, Ali. Thanks. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So it was good catching up with you. Have a wonderful night and be safe.
All right,
Thanks.
you too.
Thanks.
Bye.